Men and women are born equally, and so they must be afforded equal opportunities to develop their potential. And according to Laszlo Polgard, with the right training and perseverance, anybody can reach the highest levels of cognitive performance. We just need to provide a supportive home environment, rich mathematical classroom experiences, and a commitment from the community to ensure gender equity is achieved. This presentation will discuss the importance of gender equity and equality in education, explore historical and cultural perspectives on gender in education, examine high-stakes testing such as EQAO, TIMSS, PISA, and SATs as they pertain to gender outcomes, barriers and stereotypes which can impede girls' advancement in math, and finally, how educators can encourage girls to enter into mathematics in post-secondary education to acquire STEM jobs.
What is equality? What is equity? What's the difference? While equality deals with justice, in education it doesn't mean it. Equality means having access to the same resources. It means leveling the playing field with the same, equal distribution of resources. We've heard the expression fair doesn't mean the same, and this saying helps in defining this difference. As educators, we seek equity and attempt to create it where and when it is needed. Equity means giving the right amount of resources to those who need them, so more for those who need it, to ensure a level playing field. Equity is the aggregate of many contributing factors to equality. We can achieve gender equality through equity in the sense that both boys and girls have an equitable amount of access to the resources and experiences required to ensure equal learning and success opportunity, both present and future. Why should gender equality be a priority? Men and women are equal. However, there is an alarming imbalance in equality because of the enormous disparity in gender equity. The current gender inequity hinders not only present opportunities for girls, but future opportunities as well, especially at a global level. This disparity leaves much to be desired, especially in the domain of mathematics education. In one particular case, in the Republic of Malawi, a large portion of its population had limited access to education because of their poverty. The challenge of access meant that few children were able to experience any sort of formal education, even at the primary level. This financial barrier made it that more boys were sent to school than girls. The government proposed to decrease tuition for children and then eliminated the cost of primary education altogether in the early 90s. This contribution to gender equity made primary education accessible and attainable to more girls, showing an increase in female enrollment from 47% to 97% in 8 years. This success continued into secondary education as well. One of the greatest outcomes of this policy implementation was the fact that a greater increase in enrollment of girls from poor families occurred, indicating that education is valued and desired not only by rich families. Unfortunately, there are countless similar cases which pronounce the same disparity in gender equity in education. Sadly, there is a high percentage of women around the world that experience hardships like poverty and illiteracy, which confirms their disempowerment in today's world. These discouraging facts should be enough for encouragement in making gender equality a priority.
In the past decade, many countries worldwide have made significant progress towards gender equity and equality in education. Most countries around the world now offer primary education to females. In fact, organizations such as the Central Asia Institute, co-founded by Greg Mortensen, has been responsible for building over 171 schools in Pakistan and Afghanistan, which has impacted the lives of over 54,000 girls. However, there are still less females worldwide who will have an opportunity to start secondary education, especially in parts of Africa and South Asia. Enrollment in a secondary education is less of an issue in OECD countries, as education is usually mandatory for females up to the age of 16. Even when females are afforded the right to attend high school or post secondary education, females are less likely to choose careers in mathematics due to social and cultural factors which influence the achievement and participation of women in mathematics. When exploring the rationale for why females are not engaging in careers in mathematics, we need to recognize the historical beliefs that to this day still permeate society's image of females' ability to learn mathematics. In the mid 1950s, research by Fruchter theorized that gender gaps in mathematics were caused by biological differences between males and females. Males have been viewed as having enhanced brain development in spatial perception and mathematical reasoning ability. By 1977, this research was discredited by Fenema and Sherman. Their research proposed that socially constructed attitudes were the reason behind the achievement differences in males and females. Today, further research into the differences in gender performance in mathematics have focused more on social factors such as parental influences, the manner in which math was explored in the classroom, and the effects of student attitude, achievements, and participation. Before we can discuss how home, school, and the community can support a growth mindset in mathematics for all students, including females, we need to address the barriers that can affect equity and equality in mathematical learning between males and females. These include inadequate parental support, inequity in treatment in the classroom, and preconceptions in society that mathematics is a male domain. Gender stereotyping, although subtle, can influence how girls view themselves as mathematicians and can have an impact on their choice of careers in the future. Wellen believed that the most influential variable on a child's success in school are parents. There is a direct correlation between a student's background and their performance in school. In developing countries, parents who lack financial resources will decide which of their children will attend school. If there is a choice between sending a female child or a male child, only the male child will be sent to school, sending the message that a son's education is more valuable than a daughter's education. There is only an increase in female enrollment in these countries when education is free and available. Another stereotype that parents may present unconsciously is the notion that sons can learn math easier than daughters. So if a son has good grades in mathematics, it is attributed to ability, and with a girl, good grades are attributed to hard work and effort. The same biases can be prevalent in school as well. Subtle stereotypes can be seen in the school system also. Did you know that 90% of all elementary teachers in the U.S. are female? And that the majority of math teachers in high school and post-secondary schools are male? This can subconsciously be viewed as males being better at math and females not, which is why female teachers must teach in primary classrooms where math concepts are easier, and the males dominate the higher levels of math because they have a higher aptitude for more complex math. According to research by Belock, female elementary teachers are one of the most math-phobic cohorts in education. Math fear from a female role model is more likely to have a negative impact on mathematical learning of female students than male students. Gender biases can be presented in math textbooks. This may be explicit or implicit. For example, when designing math problems, males and females may be presented in gender stereotypical roles, girls baking and shopping for clothing, and males doing sports and being a scientist. Presenting traditional gender characteristics, even subconsciously, can give the impression of masculine and feminine positioning, seeing males as mathematically dominant and the leaders of the future. Similar to the home environment, teachers may assume that if female students do well in mathematics, it's due to hard work and effort, and for male students, it is assumed that they are naturally talented and good at math. Interestingly, in a typical classroom, a teacher interacts on average 8 times more with boys than girls during a mathematics lesson. Through this interaction, male students are gaining feedback and praise, which enhances their performance in mathematics. When we look at the stereotyping that occurs in society, we still see some traces of Frichter's 1954 theory that biological differences account for the achievement gaps between males and females. Historically, girls have not been encouraged to pursue high levels of mathematics, as career choices have been directed towards jobs that appeal to the nurturing side of females. Conversely, boys have been pushed towards senior math courses in high school and in university, as society believes the gender stereotypes that males have more aptitude for complex math reasoning and problem solving, more so than girls. This stereotypical thinking causes a larger gap in math achievement levels between males and females the higher up students go in education, as can be seen on high-stakes tests such as SATs, PISA, and the NAEP. Similar results in student outcomes can be seen in the United States, New Zealand, Australia, and the United Kingdom on high-stakes tests. Gender gaps are small and not usually very significant in the primary years, but once students get into the higher grades in high school, the gap in mathematical achievement gets wider. Data from the NAEP, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, a large-scale test that occurs every 4 years in grades 4, 8, and 12, demonstrated that from 1990 to 2003, gender gaps persistently showed males outperform females, and the gap gets wider over time, with the largest gap occurring in grade 12, when it's essential for males and females to pick career choices for post-secondary education. Although the gap between males and female performance is smaller today than it was in 1978, it's still present. Similarly, SAT data from 1982 to 1995 showed that on average, females scored 45.5 points lower than males, and that the largest gap in performance occurred in the top achievement levels between 750 and 800. In fact, the ratio of male to female top scores was consistently 4-1 for males to female. Interestingly, in Ontario, EQAO test results for grade 3 and grade 6 over the past 5 years have shown that there are nominal differences in gender performances, with females slightly outperforming the boys. The test results in grade 9 for applied and academic demonstrate a growing gap, with male students outperforming female students. In the academic program, males outperform females by 2%, and in the applied program, males outperform females by 5%. When looking at the results of PISA, the gender gap in mathematics performance has remained stable in most countries since 2003. Girls underperform boys in mathematics, and in the highest levels of achievements, the gap widens between males and females. It is concerning that this gender gap in mathematics performance has remained stable over successive PISA assessments. However, what is more troubling is the fact that females have a negative attitude towards learning mathematics. This has repercussions in life decisions well beyond school. When looking at the gender differences in the TIMSS test results in 2011, of the 50 countries that participated in the grade 4 testing, there were no significant gender differences in 26 countries, although 20 countries did favor boys and only 4 favored girls. When looking at the gender differences in achievement in the grade 8 testing, the gap does widen, but the difference is in favor of girls, generally speaking. In Canada, we can see that the test results showed that grade 4 and grade 6 boys outperform girls consistently since 1995, although there are years where there is no significant difference between boys and girls. As we've seen on the different high-stakes tests discussed, impact of gender on mathematical achievement is inconsistent. I think the key idea to take from these tests is that gender-related differences in achievement are few when females and males study an equivalent amount or similar kind of mathematics. So what do we need to do in the classroom every day to ensure all students are afforded an equitable math education?
Closing the gap. Promoting gender-fair learning through teaching strategies. How can a teacher's mindset improve student learning? A teacher's job is to inspire his or her students and to believe in his or her students. A teacher's attitude heavily influences his or her students' attitudes towards math education and learning. Teachers who adopt a growth mindset teach their students that their talents and abilities can be developed through effort, good teaching, and persistence. Similar to what Laszlo Polgar stated, that with the right training and perseverance, anybody could reach the highest levels of cognitive performance, recognizing that there is no physical or intellectual barrier to the participation of women in mathematics is imperative to improved student learning. Teachers have to believe that girls can do just as well in math as boys, and those that have adopted a growth mindset are more likely to call on girls and boys equally, provide equal time to girls, and be attentive to girls' requests for help. Teachers must recognize the competition between genders in the classroom and should work toward equal participation for both male and female students during math lessons. Like students, teachers who understand the only barrier to the development and growth of their students' intelligence is lack of effort, build a classroom environment where students are nurtured as they develop more confidence in themselves. A teacher's mindset either obstructs potential learning opportunities for his or her students or encourages his or her students to recognize that effort, not natural ability, is the key to success. What strategies can teachers implement to ensure equity and equality in a math classroom? Teachers are responsible for the learning in their classroom, and to ensure equal learning opportunity for both male and female students, teachers must take into account the different interests of their students. Teachers should recognize that girls and boys have different interests and life experiences. For example, when designing math activities, teachers should avoid constantly pushing environments or themes that are patriarchal in nature. Instead of always using the examples of little Johnny has hockey 3 times a week and each session lasts 30 minutes, how many minutes does he play each week? Or, little Susie can bake 20 cookies every hour, how many cookies can she bake in 3 hours? Teachers could reverse the genders of the students, challenging gender stereotypes. Quezada Reyes also suggests using gender-specific terms over gender-neutral language because many girls assume non-gender-specific language in non-traditional fields means boys. For example, if a non-traditional female subject or interest like science, technology, engineering, or math is being discussed and targeted for girls, teachers should be explicit in promoting the idea for girls. By advocating for the pushing down of different barriers and stereotypes, teachers can avoid perpetuating gender bias in their treatment of academic subjects. Therefore, establishing relevance of materials that consider the different interests of both male and female students. Teachers can help reduce gender inequities in their classroom by providing specific strategies, opportunities, and resources to scaffold learning and encourage students to excel in mathematics. To help students develop new conceptual understandings, teachers can use different formats and modes of response, such as interviews, long-term projects, journals, illustrations, and models, while also evaluating all aspects of performance. Students should be offered different types of work, both hands-on and problem-solving, which involve different ways for students to demonstrate their mathematical power. Teachers can use instructional strategies such as collaborative groups to provide students with a supportive, risk-free environment to integrate new knowledge and skills. An important issue to address for these groups is to avoid group names, flag or team colors, and responsibilities and/or roles that perpetuate a gender bias. What strategies can foster a positive attitude towards mathematics? Teachers have to maintain high expectations for girls and take personal responsibility for encouraging them in mathematics by encouraging them to solve problems on their own. Making female students feel capable of their own learning is especially important. Teachers have to resist the temptation of interrupting the student's learning experience. Research has found cooperative learning to be especially helpful to girls, most significantly when all group members are female. Research also shows that when males are mixed in with females, they tend to dominate and girls become the recorders rather than the thinkers and doers. Teachers need to provide students with male and female role models who embody confidence in mathematics and have an affinity for the subject. Just like for boys, teachers need to encourage girls to take gatekeeper courses in grades 7 and 8, and then pursue more advanced math courses in high school. To further cement the notion that women are able and do work in non-traditional female fields, educators should expose girls to women with STEM jobs. This will hopefully prevent them from mistakenly believing that a career in math is unthinkable. Teachers should be aware of their voice, gesture, and body language when talking to their female students. When interacting with students, teachers must act in a positive, engaging, and enthusiastic manner. Teachers should never belittle their female students by assuming they are incapable of finding the solution to a problem. Additionally, teachers should increase their own pedagogical content knowledge so that they can themselves embody confidence in mathematics. In continuing to develop positive attitudes towards mathematics, teachers can do the following. They can give assessments that are differentiated with low floors, high ceilings, and wide walls so every child, male or female, can be successful. They can create a classroom environment that values problem solving. They can create a classroom built on discourse to encourage all students to communicate ideas in a comfortable environment and to ensure a balance between male and female participation. More think, pair, share opportunities. And to help encourage proper discourse, they can use cooperative groups. Teachers can use effective questioning to guide student thinking and develop conceptual understanding. They must hold high expectations for all students. To avoid classroom climates that expect more from males than from females, all students should be challenged to learn mathematics. Adams states females are not prima donnas who will shatter if given a non-routine word problem. Nor should they be encouraged to shy away from male activities, such as building or constructing with mathematical tools. They provide students with some mathematics history that highlights the contributions of female and male mathematicians. They choose instructional materials that are gender neutral. They model gender equity through your own interaction with persons of the opposite gender. And finally, they integrate curriculum to build mathematical understanding in different subjects. How parents interact with their children at home highly influences their children's behavior and attitudes towards many things, including school, and more particularly with math. Thomasina Adams created this list concerning parental influence and what parents are encouraged to do to support their child's or children's mathematics education. Parents are encouraged to give praise sincerely to girls and boys when engaged in a mathematical experience. Parents are encouraged to support extracurricular activities that promote gender equity. Parents are encouraged to support additional extracurricular activities that use mathematical applications. Parents are encouraged to purchase gifts and items that use mathematical applications. And parents are encouraged to acknowledge and value the use of mathematics at home. This list encourages parents to raise self-confidence and motivation among girls to pursue interests in mathematics. Moving forward, deep-rooted prejudices of who should participate in mathematics education or who is innately able to succeed must be tackled and eradicated in order for females to feel welcome in the mathematics fields. Darling Hammond points out that in the USA, enormous energy is devoted to discussions of the achievement gap. Key resources include high-quality curriculum, good education material, expert teachers, personalized attention, and plentiful information resources. We need to get more females interested in mathematics, provide vocational training to encourage women to work in scientific or math-related careers, and make schools safe and more affordable for girls in developing countries. We have a survey comparing genders in STEM jobs. Women are still underrepresented in many scientific and quantitative fields. The idea that your gender explicitly determines whether your verbal skills or math skills are high or low is a myth and fiction, which is why the two data representations are concerning. Figure 1 on the left shows gender shares of total in STEM jobs in 2009. Although women made up almost half of all jobs and were behind by only 4%, women only represented 24% of STEM jobs in the United States in the year 2009. There are many factors contributing to this, but perhaps the most influential is the almost secular belief that women are just not good at math. It is assumed that men are by nature quantitative, while women are qualitative. The other chart shows the top 10 highest paid majors. Again, we see a much smaller representation of women in these STEM jobs, varying from 9% to 37%. Women seeking STEM careers. An eroding sense of belonging may be a key factor in women's decision to go elsewhere. With a fixed mindset, women are unable to see themselves as valued and equal members of the STEM communities. Gender-fair workplace. The education sector strives to address gender inequalities in education, assisting countries in developing gender-sensitive teaching and learning materials that promote the equal participation of women and men in society and at work. In the video, which can be accessed through the thumbnail, Laura Overdeck discusses decreasing math anxiety among women. Girls experience math anxiety. Doing math, or just the thought of doing math, causes anxiety for a large number of women. Math hurts. MRI scans found that math anxiety triggers brain activity response similar to suffering physical pain. Experiencing math anxiety is not only painful, but also causes poor performance as the heightened brain activity blocks working memory. Just being reminded that you're female makes you perform poorly on math tasks. Women sabotage themselves by believing they are naturally bad at math. In this video, which can be accessed through the thumbnail, Jessica Morris discusses gender equity in global education. She talks about, among other things, gender stereotypes and the need for a retreat once a week to a safe place where she and other women collaborate. Closing thoughts. Gender equity is not just about economic empowerment. It is a moral imperative. It is about fairness and equity and includes many political, social, and cultural dimensions. It is also a key factor in self-reported well-being and happiness across the world. Although there are several factors such as parental influences, the manner in which the math was explored in the classroom, and the effects of student attitude on achievements and participation that have a huge impact on student learning and performance, a large number of inequities can be challenged immediately. At home and at school, parents and teachers can avoid labeling math and the other STEM subjects as for boys. Parents and teachers can avoid using negative, gender-offensive subtleties and language to help remove the normalness of putting down the natural ability of girls to succeed in those subjects, to stop imprisoning them in their gender. In the classroom, teachers can further develop this strategy by showing female students that math is accessible to everybody, and that attitude and effort are instrumental to learning success. Finally, teachers must adopt a growth mindset to pass on to their students so that they can begin treating and teaching their students equally.